My camera.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. This is the Town of Groton Local Traffic Authority meeting for Thursday, December 19th. First is roll call. Town manager. That's here. We also have an attendance. I'd ask you to go around the room. We'll start to my left.
Greg Hanover, Director of Public Works.
Devin Bedard. I'm a sergeant here. I'm in charge of the parking downtown.
Officer Sheila Fifi, I'm the community policing officer.
Dean Vaslowski, I'm the Chief's Executive Assistant.
Hey, and for the record, just so we can.
I'm Jim Nelson and Tressa Nelson. Over
Okay.
here on behalf of Jim Rickshaw.
Okay. Now, I know we have some folks on line as well. Would you mind introducing yourself? Hi.
Yeah, I can start. I'm Russ Kramer. I have a gallery and studio business for 15 years on West Main Street in the same building as NL Shaw, Finer Line Gallery, and Bee's Knees, right next to Bank and Bridge Restaurant.
Right.
My name's Bill Sweeney. I am legal counsel for Oddfellows.
We're just having some tough times here. I don't know what it's on our end. It's the volume is a little off. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr.
Yeah, I'll try to speak up. I'm attorney Bill Sweeney out of New London. I represent the Oddfellows home of Connecticut, which is known better as Fairview up on Lestertown Road. Thank you.
Okay.
And I'm Deb Jones. I'm the Assistant Director of Planning and Development. I'm here if you've got any questions about the Fairview project, planning and zoning wise.
All right. Very good. Let me see if I can switch over. We're trying to get it. Now we can hear.
I didn't turn it down.
All right. So the first item of business is approval of the minutes from August 21st. Take a motion to approve the minutes. I'll second that. All in favor? Aye. All right. Public communications. Jeannie, do we have any public communications?
No.
All right. Old business. The first item of old business is 2024-761, which is New London Road speeding concerns.
Chief, I just wanted to point out, the reason I put those two items on the agenda is we do have some traffic count results. I don't believe we're prepared to make any recommendations yet. Officer Afifi has a call into the DOT, and we were just going to talk to them first about.
We'll just hold it to next month.
Yes, just all of the requests that involve state roads. We're going to just talk to the state.
Yes, sir. Because basically, when you looked at it, you had New London Elm on High Street that went ongoing. So we figured more of a holistic approach to all of them. And I advise most of the residents, reach out to the state. So we're not looking at a one area solution, only the entire area solution.
Okay. The other old business item is 2024-763, Five Corners traffic concern, and this is in Mystic, not to be confused with Five Corners in Groton City. We're gonna do the same with that.
Yes, sir.
Any comments on that, Sheree?
No, sir, it's the same. This is the what? Because there's some previous complaints from the last one on the 137 North. That's why we consider the Five Corners community. We didn't realize that it was used to be called that.
And Director Hanover, anything I see there's an email here for you. I don't know.
No.
So on to new business. We're gonna make some changes in the organization of the agenda just for the folks that are in attendance to kind of expedite their departure. So the first one, want to do the military highway first, or we've got 2024-1121, which is a request to use military highway for construction related trucks, and this is for Fairview. So I think I turn it over to you, Mr. Sweeney, or Attorney Sweeney.
Yes, thank you, sir. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, you can.
All right, if you can, I'll try to speak up. So thank you for having me here today. I want to thank Jeannie particularly for helping coordinate this. Again, my name is Bill Sweeney. I'm an attorney over at the law firm of Tobin Carberry in New London, and I serve as counsel to Oddfellows Home of Connecticut, which is the nonprofit corporation that runs the Fairview Continuing Care Retirement Community up on Lestertown Road. We have applied for certain approvals to the Groton Planning and Zoning Commission for an expansion to the retirement community. And we actually are scheduled to open our public hearing with the Planning and Zoning Commission this evening. So we appreciate being able to appear before you today. I know Deb has the plans ready, and I thought maybe if she could put them up on the screen. I know, I believe you guys have a copy of them, or certain members of the police department got copies of them. But I'd like to just quickly go over the project in a very high level way. You know, what we're proposing and then why we're here today. And so if Deb could display them, that'd be great.
Yep.
So just for a point of clarification, we do not have those copies here, so obviously we'll love to see if you're able to put them on the screen. That'd be helpful.
Terrific. Perfect. That's great. Can everybody see that okay?
Yeah.
So just to orient you, this map, north is to the left, and to the bottom of the page is actually west, and it's the Thames River and Military Highway sort of on the bottom of this page. Lestertown Road is to the right, and then you've got the Navy housing on above the Fairview site. You can see some of the outlines of the homes in that development as well. The sort of light gray area to the right is the existing Fairview campus, and in more darker area, sort of in the central area of the site, is the proposed expansion that we are going forward with. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Fairview site, but it's currently composed of a skilled nursing and rehabilitation facility attached to some senior apartments in a historic building we call Fellowship Manor. About a decade ago, there was a major addition to the Fairview campus with the addition of congregate living units in the campus and down the hill along Horizon Drive connecting into Military Highway. These are sort of semi-independent, standalone cottages. We call it Thames Edge. And so that was built starting in 2014 and expanded, and another expansion in 2016. Currently today, there's 2 access points to the site. We have our main driveway off of Lestertown Road, and we also have the connection off of Military Highway as well. The area of the site that we're developing, that's what's sort of dark or highlighted in this drawing. This is in the northern side of the site. We're going to be doing it, the development is really in the center of that area, and we're going to be leaving an undeveloped portion at the far northern end of the site, sort of along Lewis and that Virgo Drive neighborhood. So there'll be a good buffer left there as well. Give you an idea, the plan is basically to build new housing opportunities and amenity spaces in the new building complex. These will be actually built, this project will be built into the hillside. If you've been out there, you know the topography basically slopes first gently around the Navy housing and then more steeply down toward Military Highway. We'll be up on top of the hill with the building, but built into the hill, so the building will actually look a lot smaller than it is. Just to give you an idea, there's 2 buildings being constructed. The major one, which is sort of in the center of the site and is ringed by that access road, that is going to be a new building we call Vista Point. It's 165,000 square feet. It's going to have 175 new congregate housing units and 72 healthcare units. And when I say healthcare units, that's going to be broken into assisted living and memory care units for people that are struggling with dementia or Alzheimer's or other similar conditions. But we're also going to have some really robust amenity space and healthcare spaces in that building. We're going to have obviously outdoor and indoor amenity spaces. There's surface parking, and there's also parking built under the building as well. And we'll be talking tonight in front of Planning and Zoning about all of those areas. We also have a second building It's much smaller. Second building is only 12,000 square feet. And you see Deb's pointing it out, that's called the Horizon. It's an additional 18 congregate housing units. And it's actually built in the existing campus right now. So one of the things we wanted to talk about with you particularly is we're hoping to get approvals this winter for the project. Realistically, we don't expect construction of this project to take place until likely 2026 at the earliest. We've got a lot of financing. There's going to be revenue bonds generated to fund this project. But in our discussions with the neighbors, there was some question of how we are going to access the site, especially during construction. We're looking at an 18 to 24 month construction cycle for the project at minimum. And there was some question whether the Leicester Town Road entrance would be the sole access during construction for the project. And we know that Military Highway is currently signed for no trucks. And so in talking with Deb Jones and the planning department, we thought it was appropriate to come to you and inquire on the process and whether it would be possible to have that restriction lifted for a period of time to allow for construction activities. And so that we don't have to put every construction vehicle for the project through the Leicester Town Road entrance. I'm sure we will use it to some extent, but it would be helpful and we could divert some of our traffic for construction vehicles to Horizon Drive off of Military Highway. We're not looking to use Military Highway as a throughway for trucks, but simply just to access that secondary access and to divert some of our construction traffic to that other driveway. Construction traffic is going to come in pulses. We're going to be clearing the site first and grubbing it and stabilizing it. And then we'll be pouring foundations and we'll be building buildings. And then finally, finishing off the amenity spaces. From our perspective, this is what we call a balanced site. So we're not taking material off the site in truckloads, and we're not bringing truckloads of material into the site. We're using the soil that's there. We're just redistributing it. So that will cut down on a lot of construction traffic, but we certainly will have materials coming into the site and vehicles to work the soils on the site. But again, those will come in pulses. We expect that, for a ground opening, you'll bring in a bunch of excavation material vehicles, you'll drop them off and you'll leave. Those vehicles will stay for a period of weeks or months, shaping the site, and then they'll all come off in a pulse. And again, we think it would be helpful, and really our neighbors have requested us to explore this, of whether the traffic authority would allow a temporary lift of the trucks restriction during construction. We obviously would have to coordinate with the traffic authority, let you know what our schedule is, make sure you're aware of it. Again, I don't have a hard starting date for this project, but it's likely going to be sometime in 2026 or even 2027. But we'd like to work with you on that cooperatively in coordination. And so that's basically my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions you have operationally about the project. I do understand there's been a lot of turnover at Fairview in the last decade. I have heard suggestions that this issue may have come up before, and there may have been some allowance for some construction vehicles during the construction of the Thames Edge project about a decade ago on Military Highway. I haven't been able to confirm that because most of the people that were there a decade ago are no longer there. But I just wanted to put this out in front of the traffic authority, get some comments, and see if this is something that the traffic authority may want to entertain. Thank you.
I don't recall this coming up in my tenure.
No, but I'm wondering if it was the no park or the no trucks was a traffic authority decision because it's not in the town code. No buses on Military Highway, but not no trucks. So I'm thinking there might be.
Yeah, I don't recall this coming to us before. I don't, Deb, in your recollection, I don't know if you might be someone that has a little bit more historical perspective on that. But my first question is, what time of day are you expecting these to be accessed? Because Yeah, there are sailors and employees at the submarine base that access military highway on their way to work. They utilize that as opposed to Route 12 because you have the main gate right at the end of military highway. So my first question is, what time of day would you be looking for this variance to be accommodated?
Yeah,
What hour?
that's a great question, and certainly we could coordinate with the traffic authority. I mean, typically, our construction projects work Monday through Friday and often Saturdays. Usually, they don't work on Sunday. The Planning and Zoning Commission may have some hours of basically construction that they set forth for us. It's usually fairly early in the morning, and then sort of mid to late afternoon when they leave. But again, this is not a construction site where we're going to have dump trucks coming in and out of the site all the time because we're balancing the fills on the site. What we're probably looking for are discrete periods of time where we would coordinate with the traffic authority and say, all right, this week we're going to start site clearing. So we're going to be bringing in bulldozers and excavators on these 2 days between these hours to sit at the site, to drop them off at the site and leave. And then those vehicles will work the site for a period of weeks or months. And then we would say, hey, listen, the trailers for these vehicles are coming back on these couple days. And we would likely be able to work very closely with the traffic authority to give you adequate notice and even plan the times when they can come and go. If there is, if there is the need to have things come through at sort of an ad hoc basis, we can use the Lestertown Road access. But what we'd like to do is not put everything through Lestertown Road. Our neighbors have asked whether we could divert some of it to Military Highway, and we'd like to try to see if we could work with you as we develop, an actual timeline for the project, whether this is something that we could do.
What do you see as the earliest possible in the morning?
Yeah, I don't think you would see, I don't think you'd have any construction activities even beginning on the site before 7 a.m. Typically, that's when people start showing up to site for contractors. And generally, work starts to begin and deliveries start to arrive sometime after that.
So on a busier day, how many trucks could you see on an active day on the road?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you exactly, but we're not talking about a tremendous amount. I think it's going to become impulses. It's really about dropping equipment off and bringing materials in. So I think we could even schedule it with you. But it could be, on a day when we're dropping, machinery off, it could be up to a dozen vehicles come to drop things off. And again, I'm estimating right now, we haven't gotten to that phase. Really the point of today was, is there a process or would there be a willingness to work with the developer to try to allow some scheduled truck access to Military Highway to get to that second access during construction?
And just when trucks will only come from the south, nothing on Crystal Lake.
I believe that's true. I can't see a scenario where they would be coming from the north. It just doesn't make it doesn't make a lot of sense just from where the traffic flows are coming from. My guess is they'll likely be coming from the south and not the north. But we're certainly willing to talk about that too if that's a concern. I'm sure there is. We want to make sure that we're cognizant of the sub base and we don't want to create any conflicts, particularly when they've got shifts coming in and shifts leaving.
Another question, we do have in this body has received complaints from residents in the neighborhood about speed and things of that nature on Military Highway. There are some blind spots on Military Highway, which I'm sure you're aware of, that have been a source of concern to some of the residents there as it relates to traffic flow and speeding. My question would be, would there be a need, should we grant this, would there be a need for a police officer at certain times to be down there in order to facilitate the entrance and exit of those trucks?
Sure. I mean, we would absolutely be open to that if that's something that you feel is necessary. Our sight lines off the second access are more than sufficient. There may be other areas of the roadway, particularly, I think, further to the north that may be less, may have less suitable road conditions. But yeah, if that was something that would be necessary, I'm sure we could work with you and coordinate with your office if you felt that if the traffic authority felt a police presence was necessary during some of those scheduled access times.
Yeah, I don't know if we were to grant this, I don't know that it would be a requirement all of the time, but it may be some of the time, depending on how many trucks are coming in, making sure that we don't have a traffic hazard at that particular location, but it might be more of a case by case basis.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think the largest vehicles that we may encounter will likely be the steel delivery for the main building. Those are rather long trailer truck with steel beams. And so, for that type of delivery, we may want to coordinate directly with you and have a police presence if, particularly if there's, if those trucks need to move slowly to navigate the turning radiuses.
Right now, it's a little vague on some of the answers. We only meet every 2 months, maybe something like authorize it coming from the south for 24 months from the start of construction, not to include travel on Crystal Lake Avenue, the hours of 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., but with authority to us to make a decision to alter things while coming back
Sure.
here.
What I might, could I add something to that too? I would, yes, this is the traffic authority. We're the body that would grant this, but as far as the practical application of it, if it's a day-to-day thing, it's not, we're not going to convene every day to meet. It might be best that they contact, I designate a person at the police department for them to contact. That would you be okay with that? So that we can facilitate that. So, you wouldn't necessarily be calling the town manager or myself, but if all of a sudden that steel delivery is coming in on Friday and we need to facilitate it, the phone call would have to come to the police department where we would kind of help coordinate that.
Yeah, my sense is we're likely at least a year, if not 2, away from construction. And so my thought is if you were to grant, what the, town manager had suggested, there should be a clause that, there should be some, initial coordination with the police department and ongoing coordination during construction when it comes around, because, make sure that the parties have the point of contact. I know when we work with Deb in the planning department, before we break ground, there's a pre-construction meeting. I would think that we would want the police the traffic authority representative at that pre-construction meeting so that we can coordinate all of those details. Everybody has everybody's contact information, whoever that might be at that time. And then, when we have sort of a major delivery, we can say, hey, listen, this is the day the steel's coming. We want to have an open dialogue. We want to work with you guys. And we think this would be helpful to allay some of the concerns of the neighborhood on Star Hill Road and on Lestertown Road, where they'll know that not every single delivery has to come through their neighborhood.
I'm supportive of what the town manager laid out, but again, I just want to reiterate, we want to make sure there's no encumbrances to the sailors that are going back and forth onto the sub base at the start and beginning of their tour of duty that particular day. So we want to be conscious of that as well.
Understood and agreed.
Basically, a lot of these military highway for construction related trucks for the Fairview Retirement Community expansion with trucks traveling from the south, not to include Crystal Lake Avenue, just to make that clear. For duration of 24 months, beginning from the start of construction, Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. And to designate a zone at the police department to have the authority to alter and make decisions.
One of as late as 9 p.m.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't think 9, I can't see construction equipment entering the site, after dark. Probably 7 to 7 is more appropriate.
I agree with Deb. We wouldn't have any vehicles there that late.
I'm good with that. I'll second that motion.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So that passes. We will look forward to coordinating with you more in the future and with your team as this moves forward. And I think we're looking forward to this construction project happening.
Thank you so much for taking the time for us. And I just want to thank Jeannie for helping coordinate this as well. So I really appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great holiday.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Right. And then we'll move on to item 5.5, Roman numeral 5, number 5, 2024 1122, request you use town roads for e-bike pedicab service. So, hi folks.
That was
Hello.
yes. Thanks everybody for having us. Jeannie, thank you. What's up? I'm the better half of Jim's Pedicabs, just so you know. I'm Tressa Nelson. And but this was his great idea. I think you all know what a rickshaw pedicab is. We've seen them in Charleston, out of Newport. Earlier this month, we met with the other side. We met on Stonington and had a lot of smiles when we described our project here. And so we're just very early stage. We haven't spent a dollar except for on this paper because we want to get, you know, feedback from the towns and see if there's interest. We haven't come up with any detriments to this. It can only be beneficial to the towns. With all the, you know, busyness of Mystic, we're voters, and we've been in Spicers, we've been in the subways, and now we're over at Safe Harbor in Mystic by the police station. We can never find parking in town just because we come down every weekend. So we think that this might help out for all the busy parking lots. We have the Delmar going in. So that's kind of where this all stemmed from. I want to type in. It's just that, again, this is just a rough and dirty little
So it's just a kind of a little thing when we got
concept that
ready
we
to
came
start
up
on
with.
the reminiscing. You know, there's a lot of transients that come into Safe Harbor from different marinas that Safe Harbor has up and down the East Coast. And, you know, the people come in, sometimes they have things to get into town, sometimes they don't, or they'll call a, you know, an Uber to get into town to get onto your side. How long is the walk? Is the first question. You know, you normally walk into Stonington side, but to get to your side, especially all the marinas that are full now, people are just driving over to your side that have a parking lot behind. The Mariner parking lot back. And we've gone over to that side, and it's just, you know, and you have Fort Rachel over there, and all that, you know, all the marinas that are full and 2-year wages to get into them. When we first got there, I mean, it was a lot of big slips, nobody's there, but you know, in the last 4 years, Mystic's become a hot place to come during the summertime. So on the back of that sheet, you'll see some of the mapping that we have. And
Again,
it's all proposed at its beginning stages. We think it's a great idea. And you know, some of the folks over at Stonington, you know, they're gonna get back to us, Chief Abrasso. We sent him some extra information. We have another meeting with them on 9th. So when we walked away from the table, there was a lot of So, you know, I you know, environmental standpoint, I think it's a great idea. I know the speeds of these, they were more concerned on 27 than Route 1 because a lot of people were speeding up right from the highway to the cemetery. For them, that was, they're like, wow, maybe this will help. But the speeds of these and the size of them, you know, I mean, they're pretty small. You got a lot of scooters in town now. A lot of people on the marinas are having scooters, you know, and creating more issues. I think as far as service and moving some people around, I think it's a great idea. Expensive, not as expensive as having a Uber ride from marina to DPI. You know?
The two questions that come along. First, how did that conversation go with Stonington? I know you said you got a lot of smiles, but did they receive? Did you reach a decision point, or did they?
There was no decision made. They wanted the specs on the bike. Again, still initial stages. We haven't purchased a bike yet, but these are general specifications that are on those things because they were concerned about the width. They have blinkers, TMB standard. That's
So, that kind of leads me to my next point. There is some potential for some legislation to be happening here in Connecticut. The General Assembly is going to convene in January for a long session, but there's some things that have come up, at least in my circles, with some of my colleagues in the Police Chiefs Association regarding e-bikes and some regulations that may, you know, that may come to fruition. State of Michigan, Colorado, several other states have enacted some legislation related to e-bikes. You know, they really kind of look at restrictions as far as where they're prohibited, i.e. sidewalks, modifications, really for age restrictions as far as you can operate in that sort of stuff. Something that I'm just offering that to you, that's something you should be aware of.
Yep,
before you move
and we
forward.
are, sorry to interrupt, but, I thought in the state of Connecticut, there was, got about 18 and a valid driver's license to operate.
Yeah, that may be the current, but what I'm kind of giving you is anticipate some potential changes in the next 6 months. Just friendly advice.
Yeah, no, appreciate it.
I'm generally okay with the idea as long as it's not on the sidewalks.
Yeah. Where would they be housed with, for instance, if you're doing, what are the hours of operation you're looking at if were you to do this, and where would they be? For instance, if you drop somebody off on this side of the bridge, are you gonna be able to leave it there for a little bit of time, or do you have to go back to Rally Point? How's that work?
So the battery life of these bikes is 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, 4 or 5 hours.
We'd house them in a place to be determined in Mystic area, where they would, recharge overnight as such. We've been thinking about places that would be easy for them to like kind of pull off, possibly the public restroom area by, across from
For the park.
fire trucks. Might be able to just pull out there, drop off the passenger, and then the bike is on its way to its next fair. And the people using it, if they're going into, say, DPI, they would have our number and they could set the time for 2 hours for us to pick them back up. We wouldn't be like waiting on the streets for people. We thought a great idea was the R36 parking lot, kind of out of the way, but a ton of people are parking there now, and to, bring them over to the other side or up to the museum. Again, the Delmar, people getting off, to bring them back into town, drop them off, and the bike is on its way. We're not waiting for people to go into shop and then come back.
Not to create a bottleneck. Track just over the side.
How big do you guys expect your fleet to be for this?
The interest, we'll see how that goes.
Maybe 2.
2 to 3, and then, because there's different sizes of passengers. So let's say there's a party of 5 or 6 that want to leave the Delamar, and they don't want to, take their car. Because I don't know what the parking, I know they got valet there, but I don't know where they're going to be parking. Yeah, like 6, 5 is max.
So a couple other thoughts, safety is obviously our number one concern, right? And making sure that everyone gets hurt. I am familiar with these. I know they do them in Boston, but I think those are kind of hard, and there's no electrics on those. We've kind of made a concerted effort, not just the traffic authority, but both the town of Groton and the town of Stonington, kind of work in concert when it comes to things related to Stonington, to Mystic. So obviously we want to connect with them and make sure, they don't say yes and we say no. We kind of create a little bit of a problem there. So we want to be on the same sheet of music, but conceptually, it sounds like a great idea. As you pointed out, we do have some parking problems in Mystic. But you point out also Newport and Charleston, 2 cities I'm pretty familiar with. They, how are these regulated? Are they, thinking vendor permit? How would that be permitted through the town and that sort of stuff? If it's necessary at all.
As of yet, we're just trying to, getting at this. So as we get approvals, if we hopefully get approvals, we get that into from you guys. And they have, we looked into the cost of what they charge for fare. I mean, there's so many different, because like King Street in Charleston's a huge street, and everything's within 10 minutes. So they're moving. Newport, it's a little tight going down Main Street, kind of like it is in Main Street Mystic. They seem to move pretty there. It's all the beginning stage.
Are these registered vehicles?
They have to be registered,
The operator needs to have a
valid
driver's
driver's
license.
license.
Yeah, what I've got here, distributors sometimes require registration stickers. This is just stuff that some concepts that I've heard from other states. Tennessee has some laws about bikes, which my initial statement was just to kind of make you aware that there's really could be some things that impact it, not necessarily adversely impact.
Right.
One-
I don't think there's any legislation. Ours is-
That's what I'm telling you. Yeah, there may be some coming down the pipe.
Right, and it might have to be, what happens. They are state roads 27. It does have to go to there though. They don't table it for 5 years or something.
I'm open to the concept. I don't know if there's any decision.
I think it's gonna help out Stonington and Groton, to be honest with you. Especially with downtown, and I don't think it's gonna impede the traffic on either side, to be honest. The bridge goes up on the 40-minute, that's what it is. If they wanna stay on the pedicab, why that happens, they don't have to, they can get off.
It's certainly worth considering, and something I think that we're open to hearing more about.
That's what
Excellent,
we
I
wanted to
appreciate
hear.
that.
That's what we wanted to hear. We didn't want the doors slammed. So
So that,
you guys are open to it. We, like I said, we have a January 9th meeting in Stonington. We sent them exactly what we just shared with you. So they're gonna review all that and then come back to us with more questions. So, we'll just take it from there, and
And then you'll be back here after you hear from them.
we might be
Awesome.
letting you know
That's
what
great.
find out more.
then I won't be as nervous.
It was great meeting you both.
Yes,
Take the
thank you,
time.
thank you.
You know?
Thank you, thanks for seeing us today.
Mr. Kramer. Thank you for your patience. Which item, I'm sorry, which item are you here for?
I have petitioned the town to change the 20-minute parking out in front of our businesses to 2-hour parking, since it doesn't seem to make sense to have that as 20 minutes anymore. This is on the 48
Let's-
block
let me-
of West Main Street.
All right, so let me get to that. Thank you for telling me. So we're gonna hear your item next then. 2024-119, which is a request to modify the 15-minute parking zone on West Main and Water Street. Yes, we are certainly familiar with this. We have Officer Fifi, who I'm sure you've met down there in Mystic.
I have. He's doing a great job too, by the way, if I can say so.
Thank you for that. We agree. So, Mr. Cripp, myself and the town manager have discussed this previously, given a little guidance to our officers as far as enforcement for the time being, in anticipation of this meeting. So, I'd certainly love to hear what you have to say.
Well, I imagine that those 4 spaces, I mean, they've been 4 short-term spaces since I've been in business here on West Main Street for 15 years. I think it made sense perhaps when the Bank of America was there, but the Bank of America has been gone for several years now. And in its place is a restaurant where it doesn't make sense to have parking out in front of a restaurant limited to only 20 minutes, as it really doesn't make sense to the other retail businesses on this stretch of West Main Street. I understand there's 15-minute parking across the street in front of the other bank, Charter Oak, I think it is, or whatever it is. And but on our stretch of West Main Street, 2 hours just seems to make more sense, especially in light of the fact that it is being stringently enforced. If you park there, it's the only parking space. You want to go into Bank and Bridge or into any of our shops, and you happen to catch it where you're 1 or 2 minutes over the limit, you get a $20 parking ticket. It just doesn't seem to make sense under the current parking situation on Main Street.
So I don't think you're going to get a huge argument out of us as far as extending the time of that. I think you're probably right about the fact that it probably served more of a purpose in the past. I don't know whether I'm comfortable with the 2 hours or not, but I'm certainly open for discussion.
Chief and Mr. Thomas, so it's actually 20 minutes because Mr. Kramer rectified that earlier. He meant the 20-minute ones which is in front of Final Line Gallery up to the back of the brewery. So I spoke with our contact at the DOT to get his opinion from a preliminary standpoint. And he thought from a preliminary standpoint, he didn't see any issues from the state level. He said it was actually established consistency because everything in West Main Street, we looked at it, him and I, all the way down to the bridge, all 2 hours.
Just request the DOT.
I don't believe we need to do a request on this for DOT because if we're allowed to do the parking enforcement or parking regulations as far as that. So right now it's 20.
Yes,
Other
sir.
option is anything in between. I'm open to anything. If you think it's 20, if 2 hours is the appropriate one.
Yeah, if I may recommend, yes, sure, 2 signs of 15, 20 minutes. I think for consistency and the proximity to Mr. Kramer, what he said, the business there and the Final Line Gallery and in the Young Buns right across the street, keep consistency. And that's what was my thought with the state.
I would that.
I'll make a
So,
motion,
and what is the motion is?
to extend the time to, 2 hours.
So let's be careful to make sure we define which ones
Yeah.
those are. Can you
Yes,
outline
that's
which ones
defined.
those are?
Yes, sir. Yes, so there are 2 particular signs. One right in front of the Final Line Gallery, and one just a little bit past it at the end before you get to the brewery. We get to the next intersection where Lucy Pizza is.
Okay, on West Main, where Water Street's a different story.
No, sir,
We're not-
no,
we're
Water
not
Street's
looking at
completely
those. All right, I'll second that. All in favor?
Yeah, and to be clear, there's 4 spaces total that we're talking about.
Correct, Mr. Kramer. I'm just clarifying the 2 actual signs out there.
2 signs. Okay, right.
They are at the start of the first parking spot and then past the 4th. You're correct.
Yes, that's correct, Sharif. Thank you.
Can we ask the Department of Public Works? to
Yep,
make
those
those
changes.
All right, sir.
Thanks.
Are we
Mission-
good?
We're good.
The motion passed?
Motion passed.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
All right,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye. All right, okay.
I can reach out to Jeff. Greg, if you like.
Not just choosing, you know.
We go to item number 5/1/2024-1117, request to install a stop sign at Route 215 at Brook Street.
Yes.
Just wanna skip after this.
Sure.
And this one, I think we recently started looking at it. We have concluded traffic counts. I believe that's how far we've gotten with it.
Yeah, I did go out and look at this myself at one point in time. It was, and there was, we did receive, I think it was this home order. I went and wanted this whole thing shut down. I don't know that that's feasible. So you're,
That's what that was her. No, she just wants to choose that with those stops.
okay.
Do you see any reason?
I'll make that in the form of a motion.
People think they're flying to a stop sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, in favor? Aye. All right, so we'll change the stop sign to the yield sign to a stop sign. That passes. All right. Item 3, 2024-1120, a request to install 3 neighborhood watch signs on Tanglewood subdivision. So I'll read the letter that corresponds with this. Good morning. I'm looking to put 3 neighborhood watch signs on Tanglewood, one on Mohegan Road intersecting with Groton Long Point Road, another on Brook Street intersecting with Groton Long Point Road, one on Seneca Ave, intersecting with Sachem. I spoke with Officer Afifi yesterday about a new neighborhood watch program. He has given me permission for the signs as long as it's approved by you. We have a lot of suspicious activity along with quite a bit of criminal activity in the neighborhood. I'm here trying to deter these criminals from doing any more harm. Thank you. This is from Madeline Harris Warren. Sharif, any comments on this?
No, I spoke with her, sir, to address the complaints separately, but I know that's a different discussion, but I did look at the GIS mapping with Jeff Church just to ensure she wants the signs to be put are not on the town road closer. They're actually on the actual private property of the residents, and they were. She said they're gonna do all the legwork. They asked me to invite the meeting, and they just wanted the permission to have the signs up and start their neighborhood watch program.
So is that in the works? Are you working with them on a neighborhood watch?
Yes, sir. Yeah. And they asked me to attend their first meeting. Once we get the green light, we can put the sign.
Any reason why not?
They're not right away, yeah.
Yeah, no, they're not all. The only thing I want to ensure, Greg, is that they're not on what would be considered a town road or a town property. No, they're in a private residence where they gave them the green light.
Who would be installing? They'd be installing them?
Yes, sir.
I'm fine with
She
that.
said, yes, she even showed me what she'll buy from Amazon, and they said they'll do all the legwork. You just would like us to, the police to attend the meetings.
And obviously they have owner permission to do that.
Yes, sir.
I don't really have an authority yet.
Yeah, I don't think we need a motion. for it.
No, really, that's what I understood, sir, but she did, when she did her research, the thing that she wanted to understand is because if she's gotta put the sign where it's a town road, then she needs to
Right.
have permits and approval, but it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, we're fine. There's no formal action on our part, but we don't have the exception.
Yes, sir.
Next item is 2024-11-23, a request for Union Baptist Church loading zone at Library Street.
Plan.
I
It's like, I don't know what happened to
Same thing.
Where's that?
It's right here. So the Union Baptist Church, which is right here, corner of Library, Route 1 here. Crosswalks here. They have a door that goes into
Yeah.
that lower area there. They have a lot of group meetings there. They also have a lot of stuff that they need to load, unload, different events.
I have seen that.
So people park up the side of the street, and they're always parked right up to the crosswalks. They have to drive up to the parking lot, bring everything down the sidewalks. They've asked to have us put in a loading zone 30 feet from that crosswalk. Stop bar there. So,
So let me ask you this, because limiting any parking is always a tough thing in this day. Is it, can we designate hours for a loading zone or?
I don't.
Well,
They have great
events all
stuff.
kinds of day though.
They
Yeah.
have, you're like,
We hold some of our meetings. We've had some of our meetings.
Yeah,
On that road. Yeah.
You think?
I mean, I don't know what
Do you think it needs to be that big, that size?
it's just enough to get a car without blocking the crosswalk. I don't know, where's the distance you have to be from the crosswalk?
Is it 15?
10 feet or something like that.
Is there
Cars are probably parked there legally.
Is there any kind of inherent time limit for, pulling up and loading and loading?
No, it's over the top of my head. Reasonable is always the key word, right?
Right, do you guys have any opinion?
So it only takes away one parking spot, and it's probably in the league.
Yeah, I mean, like, park right. People do it anyway.
I'm
It's
okay
really
with
only
that,
taking
yeah.
effectively one space. They're not individually marked there on that road.
Right, sure. Yeah. I'm for it, he's good for it.
No, sir, I think it'd be beneficial.
I'll make that motion.
Or I'll second it. In favor?
Aye.
Unopposed, all right. Remarkable, how we. Final item under new business is number 7, 2024, 11-24, request to review existing no parking signage in the area of Route 117 and 1 as part of wayfinding signage project. And I believe this came from OPDS, right? So,
And this is where the person went straight through and took down our old large sign. Now the town council wants to replace that, but have some other signs, smaller signs leading up to it. There's just a lot of signage through there.
so just for the record, I'll read some of this in. Directional signs to Esker Point, Noack, and Groton Long Point beginning at the intersection of 117 and Route 1, moving along 15, and ending at Eastern Esker Point and Groton Long Point. Vicinity of the library and the future home of the USS Groton Sail Monument. I guess that's really one of them, correct? What they're looking for is if some of the no parking signs in this area could be removed to avoid excess signage. It'll also be useful deterrent against cars parking in front of the USS Groton Sail Monument on 117 to visit the project once it's completed. So. You seen these, Greg?
Car lot, parking, so.
Yeah.
Not about cutting it up, 'cause school right there.
Right.
Parking there, go to the events. We have a football practice there.
Yeah, the school's closed now, but you're right, football, sporting events they still have, which you easily could park on the other side.
We have something like, parking from here to here or something.
I think we could do that. That would eliminate a bunch of
Take
signs.
it a couple times and we'll get out.
Could you do that, Greg? Just,
Reduce the number of signs, but still
yeah,
maintain the parking.
here to curb or whatever.
Yeah.
Like there's 18 signs in this area. We might save some money in the budget and use those parking signs elsewhere at time. Yeah. I'll make that in the form of a motion. We'll give the Department of Public Works some latitude in removing some of those signs and convey the same message with less signage.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 6, other items of business, the approval of the 2025 meeting schedule.
And,
I don't have that here. So the dates are February 20th, April 17th, June 19th, August 21st, October 16th, and December 18th. So I'll make a motion that we adopt the meeting schedule for 2025.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. Last item of business, any other items of business before them all? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
We stand adjourned. At 2:23.
Quicker than I thought.